chair of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, and she currently teaches high school Spanish to 9th through 11th graders. And so we're really excited to hear from Olga, so welcome, Olga.
I'm going to start in chair because I'm feeling a little bit nervous and a little bit inadequate to the task. So. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you so much for this day. And I thank you for the ladies and men who are gathered here today, Lord, because we care about the direction of this country. And because we care about the fact that we see it going in a very wrong direction, and we care about our families, and we want to fight back against the lies that we have been told, Lord, and we want to hold up truth, Lord, and to hold it up strongly for you, Lord. And Lord, you know the last 2 weeks have been somewhat of a struggle for me, and so I do feel a little inadequate for the task, so I just pray that you would give me the right words that I can inspire the women that sit with us. In your name we pray. Amen. My name is Olga, like Mendy told you, and when Mendy first called me, I thought, why? A little closer? Better? I'm so used to just talking to the students, and I want to be walking around, so the microphone is kind of threatening. But when Mendy first asked me to speak, I thought, why would you ask me to speak? And it was actually 2 weeks ago, and school was getting ready to start, and my first initial reaction was to say no. Because when school starts, life gets crazy. It just gets crazy. But at the same time, I usually have some time. For some reason, the last 2 weeks, there has been no time. So literally, last night was the first time I got to sit down and think about what I was going to share with you guys. But the first thing I thought when Mendy asked me to speak was, well, maybe the reason I should speak is because I am a perfect target for the Democratic Party. Because I am a woman and I am a minority, which means that in a fell swoop, I am reduced to my body parts and to my skin color. If I believe it. If I do not, I don't believe it. Neither being a woman nor being a Hispanic has ever made me think that was something that made me a victim. If anything, being a woman is something I am so proud of. Of all the jobs that I have ever had in my lifetime, the one that has been most fulfilling is being a mother. There's nothing that I can think of that I have done that has brought me as much joy as raising my 2 daughters. And being Hispanic just gives me an opportunity to have 2 cultures that I think is enriching. My daughters love the fact that they can pull from 2 cultures. Does that mean that if you only have one culture, that's a bad thing? No, it just means that I get to see from 2 different lenses, which is really an awesome thing to be able to do. And so I am proud of both being a woman and being Latina. Think about the fact that the Democratic Party seems to think that they can speak for all women. It's really amazing to me because it does not take a political scientist to figure out that single women, married women, women with children, women without children, working women, stay-at-home women, do not all have the same issues and concerns. And yet, for some reason, they put us in this homogenous voting block. They do that because, guess what? We share the same body parts. And for some reason, that makes us all think the same. But weirdly enough, men share the same body part. And they don't do that with men. And yet, the Republican Party is the sexist party. I don't get it. And we let them have that narrative. The truth of the matter is, the party that is waging war on women is really the Democratic Party. And the real war on women is being waged to tell you that you aren't smart enough to make your own choices. They want to make your choices. They want you to be dependent on government from cradle to grave. Do you guys remember, Julia? That's what they want. That's what they want from us. And they're going to get it unless we start speaking out. We have a better message. We have truth, but we'll share it. And I don't know why, because we can win on so many issues. And the issues that they think are waging war on women, the three more important ones that they talk about all the time, what are they? Equal pay, contraception, and abortion. How many of you guys have stayed up for hours at night worrying where your contraception was coming from? Now, I don't get that either. We don't. We worry about jobs. We worry about education. We worry about our children's future. Right now, we might be worried about terrorism. And let's face it, based on what you have heard for the past couple of days, do you really want the Obama administration to wage your war anyway? No, because they don't have a strategy. So anyway, they think that we are supposed to buy into the fact that because of this, there's a war on women. There's not a war on women. That is a myth. There is a war for women. There is a war for the hearts and minds of our children. There is a war for the heart and soul of this country. And if we do not get engaged, they might win. Even though their message should not be winning. So how do we battle? Well, we get engaged. How do we get engaged? When I look around this room, I see a room that is filled with bright, articulate, capable women. Many of whom maybe have never thought about it, but probably should consider running for positions such as the Board of Education, such as City Council. They might need to run for elected office. We need to be a stronger voice in our local elections. And I understand that not everyone wants to run for office. It is a rat race. It is a rumor mill. It is a 24-hour-a-day type of job, and it really needs money. I understand that. So that might not be the best way for you to get involved. However, if we want to win this battle, we all do need to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So what other ways to be involved? Well, look around this room. There are groups who would love to have members in them. There is the Wake Up Republican Women's Club that put on this wonderful event. There is the GGRWC. You are currently standing in the GOP headquarters for Guilford County. I promise you, if you went to them and said, how can I get plugged in, they would so find a way. You know, so that's one way. What's another way? Well, you need to educate yourself. We really, really do a bad job of educating others. But we can't educate others until we educate ourselves. Okay? We need to get informed about the issues. Read articles about the issues that mean something to you so that you can find out what the valid arguments are, and you will be ready when someone comes up and says, well, what about health care? What about abortion? You will have an answer at your disposal, and it will not be a Todd Aiken answer. Because if that's the answer, keep it to yourself. Okay? And that's what I mean by getting educated. Get informed and educate starting at home. You know, I once heard it said that if you educate a man, you educate one individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate a family. And that is so true. You know, but if we want to do that, we need to be speaking. We need to be educated. You know, all of us probably have, not all of us, but lots of us have children, daughters. We need to be bringing them to these events. My daughter was on a road trip this morning, or she'd be here. But we automatically assume that young people are not interested. That is such a lie. I teach high schoolers, and I'm amazed at how much they don't know, but I'm also amazed at how interested they get when you bring up the subject. And it is sad when last week I asked my kids about the beheading of a Western journalist, and they didn't know about it. How do 10th, 11th, and 12th graders not know that a Western journalist was beheaded? Because apparently nobody was talking about it at home. So it is up to us to educate our families. And then from there, that education continues on. And we educate in our workplaces. Hopefully we bring up conversations in the right way. In the right way. Okay, which makes a huge difference. How else do you get involved besides that? You write letters to your congressman about the issues that matter to you. You ever looked at the news and record and the editorials that come in? You're right, not anymore. Why? Because who are the people who are writing the letters? Is it us?
No.
No, it's not us. It's them. There is so much liberal trash that is put in those editorials, but we don't refute them. We don't answer back. There are very few times that you see a conservative editorial post in the paper. And I don't know about you guys, but I promise, I swear, I think that they must have an offended tree line, a phone line, a tree phone, because it is amazing to me how no matter what issue comes up, within a matter of a day or something, every single liberal seems to be writing in, calling, whatever. And then you see people getting fired because they believed in traditional marriage. But we don't do that. I'm not really sure why we don't. I don't want an offended a phone line. That's not what I want from us. But I do want a truth line. I want us to realize that we need to be willing to do exactly what they do when they are stomping on truth. We need to call. You know, I saw where yesterday, I think I heard on the news, that there is a school in Michigan, or the Michigan City Council, I think, is being sued because of the fact that they decided not to let a mosque go up in a certain area, right? It was because of a rezoning issue, but they're saying that it was because of a racist issue. Now, do you think that they would have done that if it was a church? And let's just say that it happened because of a church. Would we be up in arms? Were we up in arms 2 weeks ago when they took the Bibles out of all the Navy facilities? Somewhere or another, they somehow do have something going on where the minute something happens, everybody knows and everyone's told, you need to make your voice heard. But when something happens and it's on our side, our voice is rarely heard. You know, luckily, when that Dynasty thing happened, maybe because they're so popular, our voices were heard. But we could do that with so many other things. It doesn't need to be Duck Dynasty. It doesn't need to be on national TV for us to be involved in it. So these are the types of things that we can do to get involved. And we need to if we want to win this battle. We also have facts that we don't use. But sometimes we don't use them because we're not told. Which is, once again, why we need to research. Okay? I told you that the three main topics that supposedly are the war on women, right, are equal pay, abortion, and contraception. So let's look at equal pay. I had a coworker mention something to me about equal pay last week and how that was going to be a big issue. I said, really? I said, you know what? I don't think so. I said, because until this administration puts up, it really needs to shut up. And they said, what do you mean? I said, they can't talk to me about equal pay if they are not paying their women the same amount. And they are so not. Okay? So you can't win that war if you're just talking about it and you're not leading in it. But we let them. Right? We don't talk back to it. Did you know that 2/3 of the Senate pays their women staffers? Democrat senators pay their women staffers less than men. Dick Durbin, in fiscal 2013, had a gender gap of $11,505. Mary Landrieu, who is in a really tight race, she's not talking about equal pay right now because she has a $13,037 gender gap in her pay. Do we know that? And if we don't, why don't we know that? Why aren't we posting that? Why aren't we being told that so that we can share it, so we can win this argument, because we can't. You cannot tell me that, you know, equal pay is a huge issue when your leaders that supposedly are telling you, oh, this is so awful, are not leading by example. I'm not going there with you. It's also, we all hear about the 77 cents on the dollar, right? Which is really not, it wasn't calculated on anything that was really solid. Okay, so the 70 cents on the dollar stat that we keep hearing about isn't carefully calculated. And when factors such as job experience, education, and hours worked are taken into account, the divide is no more than about $5 according to the labor force. Now, they will say that, oh, those are just that's just what, we're using to try and win the argument. But weirdly enough, those were the same factors that were cited by Obama when he was asked about the reason why the women in his administration were paid less. You can't have it both ways. We have two social issues that are left. It's contraception and abortion. Those are the issues that we're not supposed to talk about because they damage our party. Really? They damage our party. That is so not true. And Pew Research just recently took a poll in 2013. The only thing that was lower than abortion and contraception, as far as what women were concerned about, was energy. Okay? So that goes to show you how really high on the totem pole those issues are anyway. And yet they make them the cornerstone of everything they talk about. As far as women are concerned on this issue, as far as abortion is concerned, they're kind of evenly split on the issue, Dems and Republicans. And that kind of moves back and forth depending on the day. Okay, however, most women as a whole do believe that there should be some type of restriction, and they're, most of them, okay with the restriction being put on 20 weeks. 20 weeks, okay? And because Dems have been doing some studies, they're finding out that this whole war on women may not be marketing as well as they'd like for it to. So they're starting to change the verbiage. So what you're going to hear, instead of war on women now, is you're going to hear that the GOP position is too extreme. And the GOP is just really out of touch with our lives. So the GOP is too extreme on abortion. This coming from a party where there are people who believe in partial birth abortion, infanticide, no restrictions at any time, but we're the extreme ones, right? So, in fact, it was interesting. My daughter, who goes to UNCG, said she was sitting at lunch one day, and somebody came up and they were talking about pro-life, pro-choice, and she happened to say that she was pro-life. And someone said, "You don't believe in women having choices?" And she said, "Oh, I have no problem with women having choices. I just have a problem with killing babies." That shut down the conversation. There was nothing else to say. I literally said to her, "So what they say?" She said, "Yeah." So yeah, it might seem, ooh, can you do it? Yeah, go there. Because you know what? That's what it is. Be willing to call it what it is. Okay, this whole word thing that we do, we need to be truthful about what it is. Okay? The media, they get involved in this whole little too extreme thing, right? So that's why you will hear the media ask a representative something like, "Mr. Smith, is it true that you oppose abortion even in instances of rape and incest?" Well, how wonderful would it be if Mr. Smith answered back, there are some tragic cases where pregnancies are caused by rape and incest, but they only account for 2% of all the abortions that take place in the U.S. But my opponent, however, favors no restrictions on abortion, not for sex selection, not at 6 months gestation, not when the baby can survive outside the womb, not at 9 months, not even for a baby that's born alive following a failed attempt at abortion. Which one sounds more extreme? Would it not be wonderful if that was the answer they gave? That's the answer they should give, depending on who they're talking about. Because for some representatives and senators, that is true. Yeah, but we don't do it. And then there's contraception. They kind of came to the forefront with Hobby Lobby, right? All of a sudden it was back in, and everyone was talking about contraception, except that it was really a false outrage. Because do you know that before that case, Hobby Lobby offered 16 different contraceptives. After that case, Hobby Lobby still offered 16 different contraceptives. There were only 4 that were considered to be abortifacients that were not offered. Was that how the media spun that? Not at all. They just weren't offering contraceptives. We should, but we don't. We should be using that. We should be broadcasting that as loudly as the other side is. I don't know why we don't, but we don't. even though the truth is on our side, and would win this argument. It also kind of comes up, you know, the whole contraception thing just gets wrapped up into the health care. And actually, they're trying to wrap up abortion and contraception into health care so that you don't really have to separate them and they don't have to talk about it that much. And so it becomes an argument about health care and how women shouldn't have to pay more for health care and everyone across the board should pay for everything, except for even if you take out pregnancies, women still go to the doctor 33% more than men. It is a numbers thing. I don't really have a problem with women paying a little more for insurance. We do use it more. Weirdly enough, though, did you know that men, despite the fact that people think that women drive way worse than men, did you know that men get in way more accidents than women? Did you know that men pay way more in insurance as they get older than women do? Do you see that same group saying, hey, they're paying more, we should all pay the same price? No, because it's not a women's issue, and it's not going to be a big thing. But if it's here, if it should be here for health care, shouldn't it be the same for insurance for car drivers? Why do they have to pay more? But it's a numbers thing. They do get into more accidents. If we're losing this battle, it is not because we don't have a winning argument. It's because we're not making the argument, okay? It's because we don't make it, and it's because we have failed to address the issues quickly and forcefully. I heard Katie Pavlich a couple of days ago say that when Hillary goes on TV to claim bosses can take away contraception, it's the job of Republicans to call her a liar and to set the record straight. You know what? It's also important for Republicans to remind women who fought for their right to vote and who fought against it. Republicans fought for women's suffrage. Democrats did not. We need to use it. We have a vote. We need to get informed and let other women know how their voice can be their vote. So I just want to really encourage you all, get involved, get educated, educate other people, and bring others along with you. Thank you.
Good morning, still. I'm Phyllis Gibbs. I'm not a candidate. I'm a has-been. But I wanted to introduce a candidate that is going to win in November. Larry Proctor is a candidate for Guilford County Commissioner at Large. I know a lot of you probably already know Larry. He's a native of High Point. He graduated from High Point schools, but he took some courses in Missouri. I don't know how he ended up there. In business, and he's also studied real estate. Then he went into the Sedgefield Lawn and Garden and Sedgefield Outdoor Equipment, but he was prepared after those business courses that were there. He served in the U.S. Army from 1966 through 69. He served in Germany as a military policeman. He made the rank of Sergeant E5, which isn't that easy to do unless you're in combat. So we're proud of you, Larry. He's also served in Guilford County on the planning board. I've been over there too, as chairman for 5 years. That's a long time being chairman. And he's been a member of the Southern Guilford Area Plan Committee and currently a member of the Guilford County E&R Board. Now, what is E&R? Review Board. Thank you. I could not think of what that was. He also served in his community in the Greater Piedmont Teen Challenge, Olga's Gate Housing, Multi-Jurisdictional Development Ordinance Committee, the Multi-County Alcohol and Drug Services Board, Crime Stoppers, and Pine Cross Sedgefield Fire Department. He is a member of Pleasant Garden United Methodist Church, where he is chairman of the Board of Trustees. Larry is a good Republican, a good man, and we need to elect him as our county commissioner at large. So take his sign with you today when you leave and put it up somewhere can be seen, because it's running at large. No matter where you live in Guilford County, you can vote for Larry and ask your neighbors and friends to vote for Larry. And I give you Larry.
I just realized sitting there, I'm running against the female. But she's a liberal Democrat. So she says she's a liberal, but she's not too far right, not too far left, so she calls herself a moderate. And that's something that we need to start thinking about, and it's something we need to be dealing with in this election and future elections. But Phyllis kind of took my history that I was going to tell you. I was born and raised in Wilkes County and educated in High Point public schools. And the Missouri was the GI Bill. That's how I got the job. I was in the Army. I was drafted. I agreed to extend my time in serving. Sherry and I have a daughter. There's 2 granddaughters. The oldest granddaughter is in UCW. She's a senior this year. Our youngest granddaughter goes in 4th grade this year. And we have a vested interest in this county. We want the child or children eventually stay. The planning board, serving on the planning board for 9 years is basically unheard of. You're only supposed to serve 6 years. I was sharing 5. Actually, I enjoyed it. It was fun. 9 years I've never missed a week. And just because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed serving with people. We had sometimes 2 meetings a month. Currently, they're having 1 meeting a month, and sometimes within 2-3 months a meeting. So which is telling you economic development of the county is really needed that. And that's something really going back to my wife, Sherry, stand up, please. She has put up with me. She has put up with me 49 years since December.
That's very good. By the way, did you see the one
deserves it. And all those committees that Kelly spoke of, I still serve on. So she told me if I take on anything else, I'll do trouble. So I am running for Guilford County Commissioner. I need help, and I'm told behind every successful man, there's a good woman. And I'm here today telling you I need good women to help me win this campaign and be elected. And it's difficult. So if you will take a sign and help me during the election of the polls, I would be gracious and appreciate it. Also, I'm having a fundraiser in September, and John, I'll be there too. Mine is on September the 23rd at the Lazy G Ranch on the Gilmore Dairy Road. And it's Lisa Dames who's doing a passing climb personally. We're going first class. We're having the band and everything. And there'll be, the dinner will be ribeye, baked potato salad, and homemade ice cream. So it's $50 a ticket per person. And we tried to keep it in that range, and we just want to have a good time and raise a good money. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for your organization and being here. Keep doing it, and I hope and pray you grow. Thank you.
Larry Proctor and for his support as well for this event. Okay, our next speaker, this has been really great so far, don't you guys agree? Our speakers have been phenomenal. I'm so happy that everybody is speaking. Our next speaker is Zan Bunn. She is currently serving as the North Carolina Federation, president of the North Carolina Federation of Republican Women. I have her bio here, and I was just kind of flipping through it, and it's really wonderful. I wish I could read the entire thing. But what I want to tell you about her, First of all, it says she got involved in politics in college, and she was inspired by Ronald Reagan, which a lot of us were, and his love of country. She has served in just probably a gazillion capacities in the Republican Party. Wouldn't you say? Is that an accurate number? Gazillion. I think is that a scientific term? But she has really served the party amazingly. She currently serves as the 13th Congressional District Chair, along with, how do you do all that, Zan? I don't know. She is a lifelong Republican, native of the Triangle. She, in a professional life, does consulting, mainly computer training and computer consulting. I love the last part of her bio. It says that she has a niece named Reagan, and her niece lives nearby and loves late night Krispy Kreme runs when political meetings don't last too long. Now, I want to know which political meetings don't last too long. That would be But anyway, welcome, Zanba, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Mendy, and everyone for being here today. I'm so glad that you brought up that little story about my niece, because I often start talking about her. As many of you know, by the way, who left your scissors up here? If you need them later. It's like somebody will run away with your scissors. Basically, she is 13 now, but when she was 9, she was heard in the carpool back seat saying things that I'm afraid of.